So what song am I gonna play? Well, what do we got here? Randall Diavlo RD100H, Rivera Knucklehead tray. Is that how you say it? Tray? I thought this would be an interesting comparison since I have the Rivera for right now. Got this in on a trade. We're gonna use the plumes, going through the noise gate there, going through my amp selector. We got an SM57 and an MD41. Oh, by the way, Lovecraft. There you go, right there at the edge of the cap. Same with this one. And I did a sound test. So we're good. We're gonna go through these guys and have some fun. All right, so those are the kind of settings that I like with these two amps. I have to say, I have to use the Plumes overdrive in the Rivera. It's a totally different type of gain staging with the Rivera compared to the Randall Diavlo. The Randall Diavlo is much more of a modern sounding thing where I could use the plumes if I dropped the gain, but I like what the amp has to offer as far as the onboard boost and keeping the whole amp intact without adding any extra push in the front. But the Rivera, adding just kind of the compression of the overdrive with cutting the low end and adding a little bit of that high end sizzle to it, which this amp has definitely a lot of high end sizzle. But let's go ahead and go through them and let's see what they sound like. All right, so we'll start off with the Rivera. I got the overdrive off. So that's what it sounds like without the overdrive. Now there's something called a Ninja Boost, which I guess you can call it a boost on this amp. And for this guy, it has a traditional boost on board here, okay? So let's go ahead and add the Ninja Boost from the Rivera. See what that sounds like. Okay, it's not a high gain amp in the sense of a modern sound, This with an overdrive is absolutely killer. Would I use the tone without the overdrive? If it was pumped loud with a little bit of power tube saturation there, I probably could get away with it. It's definitely got that like Mason Mark sound to it. Now, from what I heard, Paul Rivera, is that his name? But this guy came from Fender, as someone pointed out in the comments of my last video with the Rivera. Whether that's true or not, not sure, but that's what's said, and I'm gonna go with it. So I also would agree with that, because I'm looking at these knobs and they are totally Fender-esque. I can totally see that, but it's also kind of like Mason Mark kind of looking too. It's kind of funny because I feel like this is a Mason Mark / Fender amp, which is a funny way to put it. This thing has absolutely awesome cleans. Anyways, let's go ahead and do some more sound samples here. So yes, it is a little bit flubby. Let me go ahead and put everything at noon, okay? I don't know that that's a thing about this amp. We're gonna give it a shot. All right, here's the resonance over here. Oh, you know what? I think that's just for channel 1. Yeah, for the overdrive. And put that there. Let's see what it sounds like from here. That is actually a really good middle way kind of tone. And this is with the Ninja Boost. I could definitely get away with that tone. All right, let's go ahead and boost it, see what that sounds like. Oh, that right there is pure OD bliss. Overdrive bliss, absolutely. Dude, that is sick. And everything's at 5 with the Ninja Boost, even the gain, right? Actually, that might even sound better than what I originally did. Huh. That's awesome. So without the Ninja Boost, this is what it sounds like. Which I even like that a little bit better with the saturation. So, all right, just to say that the plumes is at, the level's at like 9 o'clock, no, 3 o'clock, and then the gain's at like 8 o'clock with the tone right in the middle, and the switch over at 3. Yes, okay. And that sounds killer. So, for all you Rivera fans out there, and I know that this is a really hard one to dial in, as well as the Diavlo, putting everything at noon actually sounds really awesome with an overdrive in front of it. All right, now let's go over to the Diavlo. Let's see what that sounds like. I gotta turn off the overdrive because I already have a boost going on here. Okay, so this may sound pretty cool through the speakers, through, you know, the DAW and all that kind of stuff, but here in the room, that really sounds like it's super mid-cut. I mean, I like it. It's something that I would have loved if I was like 17 years old and was first getting into guitar, and I would scoop the mids. The mids are at like halfway, so let's go all the way up. I guess that helped. And the treble and stuff is like at 3 o'clock for the treble and the presence. Let's go up a little bit more. Maybe cut that back a little bit. So I have played with this a good bit, and I did have trouble dialing this in, and to tell you the truth, I would definitely get an EQ for this guy. Anyways, let's kind of jam with this a little bit. Now let's go back over to the Rivera. This is without the overdrive. Flubby mess, right? This is very Mesa-like, Mesa Boogie. Let's go ahead and pump this up to about 7.5. From this point, I would probably bring down the bass. Okay, you see what I mean by Mark series? When you turn the bass up, it just gets flubby, you know? But not to say that's a bad thing, because for rock and roll kind of stuff, that would sound great. Now, adding an overdrive in front of that flubbiness, tighten that up, and it just sounds huge, just like a Mesa Boogie. Let's go back up to about 5.5. Turn on the overdrive. I mean, come on. That's pretty sick. With that flubbiness, when you got an amp that just sounds just like, okay, it's really loose sounding, and you just put an overdrive in it, there's something special about that. And this Rivera does it perfectly. It's like the Markish, kind of Mesa Boogie-ish, in the middle of that kind of amp. The Randall, compared to this, I mean, it's probably not a good comparison, but it doesn't stack up. It's a different feel. And I get that on the DAW here, it sounds cool. But here live, you know, like, not live, but in the room, if I were to pump this up loud and had another guitar player, it probably would not cut through. I would not trust this amp to do that at all. And I understand why everybody has an issue with trying to dial this in. Now, I do not have an EQ pedal here, but I will later after this video, since I'm doing this and I'm not like really pumped about the way the sound of the Randall RD100 sounds. I get it. You know, we'll go ahead and take the EQ and the loop at a later time and see if we can get an awesome sound out of this. Now these are going through V30s, okay? And these are already mid-scooped. All V30s there. Let's go back over to the crunch channel. Gain's all the way up. Boost is on. Let's turn the boost off, okay? That is actually a pretty good rhythm tone. I actually like that more, the high gain lead, I think. Oh, the boost is on. Turn that off. Let's bring the present all the way up. Mind you, this is with the middle all the way up. Bring that to 3 o'clock. I'm not mad about that. As far as a crunch goes, you know, crunch usually for rhythm tones is a little darker. I'm good with that. And to tell you the truth, with the OD on, that sounded pretty good. So it's on now. That's pretty cool. So if I were to take the tone and boost that up to about 3 o'clock, right? Let's bring that back. And let's go over to the Rivera again. First of all, that is definitely louder, right? Let's go back and get the level right there. Okay, that's it right there. I'm just saying that if you were a single guitar player in a band, it would work okay. But if you had 2 guitar players and you're trying to cut through that mix of that, nah. No way. There's no way. Which is unfortunate because it looks freaking awesome. It looks like it should, you know, murder. You know, it should destroy everything, right? I mean, it's the RD100. It's a Fortin amp. I am going to look into seeing if I can mod this so I don't need an EQ pedal and all that kind of stuff. Just to kind of bring everything back up, you know, because I think it really does need it. But that does sound pretty cool. Let me tell you, it's definitely not a Marshall, I'll tell you that. I mean, it does have that Fortin-like chug to it, for sure. With that overdrive on the second channel, sounds pretty good. See what it sounds like without the overdrive, and then put the boost on. There we go. Okay. Plumes. Obviously, there's a lot more gain going on here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back or the level. I mean, that's a lot of fun to play, for sure. And let's go back over to the Rivera to get, you know, the reference. Now, this kind of sounds a little mid-scooped. So, let's see if we can play with that. makes me want to play 80s, for sure. Oh, that sounds great. I'll go through some of the EQ here on both of them just to see what we can do with it. Bring the presence up some. And the resonance. Treble. Bring the middle back. And the Fortin or Randall. Man, this sounds like a solid state. That's the best way I can put it. It sounds like a solid state. It doesn't have that dynamic feel to it. I don't know, I would not be satisfied with this thing. And I hate to say that about this, but it's kind of what it is. Now, stay tuned for my video with this and doing the EQ in a loop, because I'm sure it'll brighten it up. Rivera. This sounds like a proper tube amp. That's it. It really is. All right, since we're at the end of the video here, I'll go ahead and do the cleans a little bit. Just to show you what the Rivera sounds like and with the Randall, see if they come close, right? Here's the Randall. All right. Oops, overdrive is on. Now it's off. All right, that was the bridge pickup. Let's go over to the neck. Okay. That's pretty cool. The gain's over at 2 o'clock or so. 1:30, 2 o'clock. And I'm good with that. Let's go over to the Rivera. Oh, yeah, that sounds good. And mind you, this is on the neck pickup. So let's go ahead and turn the bright off because the bright pull was on. Here's the bridge pickup. Randall. A little bit of breakup since it's the bridge pickup. But that Rivera, man. Bring up the treble. bring up the mids. Okay, there is a pull for the middle too. Let's try that. And bridge, or neck. That clean. That is sick. Anyways, that is the review between these two compared to each other. I don't think the Randall stood a chance against this guy, which makes sense, right? I think this thing is 2,700 new, something like that. And then we got this Randall here, which is like 1,400 new, which is, you know, on the used market, it's probably about like $700 or something like that. Between these two amps, I would definitely pick the Rivera only because it goes the distance. The Randall would not cover the bases. I mean, this would probably be an awesome home recording amp that you could play with, but even in a band mix, I don't think I would do it. Anyways, that was it. Tell me what you guys think. Like and subscribe to the channel. And that's it. DMD out. Those are kind of the settings that I like